The Chicago Bears are staring down the barrel of a complete roster meltdown with 23 players set to hit the exit door this offseason. We aren't just talking about bench warmers here. We are talking about starters, leaders, and fan favorites who might have played their final snap in a Bears uniform. It's time to make some brutal decisions on who stays and who goes. What is going on, Bears fans? This is the moment where the rubber meets the road. We are looking at a massive list of free agents, and honestly, the roster is going to look radically different by the time we hit training camp. We need to break down every single name, cut through the noise, and decide who actually deserves a contract. But before we dive into the chaos, do me a huge favor, smash that like button, share this video with your fellow Bears diehards, and hit subscribe so you don't miss a single update this offseason. Let's not waste any time. We have to talk about the elephant in the room, the safety position. You have two starting safeties, Kevin Byard and Jaquan Brisker, both hitting the open market. This is where things get really interesting, and honestly, a little bit nerve-wracking. If you look at the tea leaves, my gut is screaming that the front office is going to prioritize Kevin Byard over Brisker. I know, that might sound wild to some of you, but listen to what's being said. Byard stood in front of the media and explicitly stated there is mutual interest. He's a veteran, sure, and we are taking it year to year with him because of his age, but the stability he brings is undeniable. I think there is a very strong chance he is back patrolling that secondary. On the flip side, you have Jaquan Brisker. He has made it crystal clear he wants to return, but the feeling from the organization seems lukewarm. We all saw him ball out in that playoff game against the Rams. The kid was flying around. But right now, it feels like the Bears are going to let him test the waters. They want to see what other teams are willing to pay him. If I had to put money on it today, Byard is signing on the dotted line, and Brisker is packing his bags. Then you have C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Bringing him in mid-season was a massive calculated risk. We know the history. He rubbed people the wrong way in Philly, Detroit, and got cut by Houston. But you cannot deny that when he arrived in Chicago, he brought a spark. He's a Swiss Army knife. He plays with that raw emotion we love. However, let's be real about the money. I am open to a reunion, but only if it's cheap. I'm talking a 1-year, $3 or $4 million, prove-it, deal. If he thinks he's getting $6 or $7 million, he can go find that elsewhere. But if the market is dry, we should have a standing offer ready. But here is the real question you have to ask yourself: are we comfortable letting a young, physical talent like Brisker walk away just to keep an aging veteran? Or is that exactly the kind of leadership this locker room needs right now? Moving over to the cornerbacks, we have to talk about Nahshon Wright. He was an absolute revelation for stretches of this season. He's a long, rangy player who created a ton of takeaways early on. But let's take off the rose-colored glasses for a second. His production fell off a cliff down the stretch, and he got burned in coverage more than we'd like to admit. He bounced back in the playoffs, but I think this is a business decision for both sides. If I'm Nahshon Wright, I'm looking to cash in. Someone out there is going to look at his length and his ball production and pay him $8 to $10 million a year. If that happens, the Bears need to shake his hand and wish him luck. He was a great rental, he stayed healthy, and we got the most out of him. But his lateral movement limitations were exposed. I feel pretty confident he's wearing a different jersey next year. As for the depth guys like Nick McLeod and Jalen Jones, these are easy decisions. They are fantastic locker room guys and special teams warriors. If you can bring them back on veteran minimum deals to compete for a roster spot, you do it without hesitation. The same goes for Jonathan Owens and Elijah Hicks. You probably bring one of them back, but you certainly aren't breaking the bank. It really comes down to who the special teams coordinator trusts more. Now let's talk about the most important room in the building. Case Keenum. I think his role on this team was criminally underrated this year. The Bears did exactly what they needed to do. They brought in a seasoned vet to be a stable voice for Caleb Williams and Tyson Bagent. Remember, Keenum was thinking about retiring last year until Ben Johnson sat him down and convinced him to run it back. I think he was a massive asset. I want him back, but maybe not just as a player. Have you seen the way he interacts on the sidelines? The man is practically a coach already. I wouldn't be shocked if he transitions into an offensive quality control role or an assistant quarterback coach. If he wants to hold a clipboard as the third-string QB again, I'm all for it. He's affordable, he knows the system, and the chemistry is there. Let's rattle through the skill positions. Travis Homer is a favorite of the coaching staff for his special teams work, so don't be shocked if he returns as running back 4. But the guys I'm really looking at are Devin Duvernay and Durham Smythe. Duvernay really found his groove as a return man and showed he can be a reliable wide receiver 5 when called upon. And Smythe. He is the unsung hero of this offense. He blocks his tail off, catches the safety valve passes, and does all the dirty work that allows us to run those heavy personnel sets. He is the perfect tight end 3. Olamide Zach Hose is a tougher call. He had moments where he disappeared, but as a 4th receiver, he's solid. If the team decides to move on from a guy like D.J. Moore, maybe Zach Hose comes back to compete for a bigger role, but I think he's strictly a depth piece. Alright, we need to have a serious conversation about the offensive line, specifically Braxton Jones. Does anyone else feel like a fresh start is inevitable here? Braxton has been a soldier, but he feels like a bridge player, someone who is good enough to start but not good enough to take you to the Super Bowl. My gut tells me he's gone. He's got over 40 starts under his belt, and in this league, left tackles with experience get paid. He will go compete for a job somewhere else. Now, could he return? Maybe, especially if the team is worried about Kieran Amegadjie not being ready to start the season. But I doubt it. That leaves us with Theo Benedict. This is a no-brainer. He's an exclusive rights free agent, which means he costs absolutely nothing. We can tender him for the minimum, and he has zero leverage. He played well enough that the team might even try to lock him down on a cheap 2-year extension. Even if Theo is back, and even if he is the Week 1 starter, you cannot go into the season with just him. You have to add competition. Jordan McFadden is another easy keep. He didn't play all year, and then boom, playoff time comes, and he steps in at left guard so Joe Thuney can kick out to tackle. That versatility is gold. Ryan Bates, on the other hand, looks like he's reached the end of the road. He barely saw the field, and with the medical retirement rumors swirling last year, I think his time in Chicago is done. This brings me to the biggest debate of the offseason, and I need to hear from you in the comments section right now. This is the question of the day. Do the Bears absolutely need to spend big money to bring in a new starting left tackle, or can they trust the development of guys like Theo Benedict and Kieran Amegadjie? I want you to type Y for yes or N for no in the comments below. Let me know if you trust the young guys or if we need a veteran protector for Caleb. Finally, let's look at the defensive trenches. We have Andrew Billings and Chris Williams at defensive tackle. Honestly, I don't think Billings was a great scheme fit, and I expect him to walk. The interior defensive line needs a revamp behind the starters. On the edge, you have Dominique Robinson and Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. I actually thought Dom Rob played some of his best football on limited snaps, including that strip sack on Stafford in the playoffs. If you can get him back on a near-minimum deal to be your 4th pass rusher, I am totally fine with that. You pick one of those 2 guys, whichever is cheaper, and you let them rotate in. And here is a name to keep an eye on, DeMarco Jackson. The Bears picked him up off waivers, and he looked fast. With Tremaine Edmonds being a potential cap casualty, the Bears might look to save money at linebacker. You can't pay everyone premium money. Keeping DeMarco Jackson for cheap allows you to spend that cash on the defensive line or the secondary. Pair him with a healthy T.J. Edwards, and you might have something there. So, there you have it. 23 free agents, and if we are being realistic, maybe half of them come back, probably even less. The roster churn is going to be real, and there will be plenty of new faces walking into Hallis Hall. The decisions made in the next few months will define the future of this franchise. We are going to be tracking every single signing, every rumor, and every cut right here. Make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss a beat. Bear down.